Hello everyone, I'm Meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger. Thank you so much for joining me today for your 2 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. Now, of course, we've got weather to talk about. We will talk about that coming up in just a few moments. Obviously, the focus still on this upcoming weekend. It is, again, going to be a weekend defined by the potential for winter weather. At this point, looks more like ice than snow, which I know is disappointing to anybody who was itching to get their sleds out and maybe have a little fun in the snowfall. But right now, again, things are trending more towards an ice event for eastern North Carolina. Not what we want. Ice is the worst. But let's talk about, again, some of the news that we've been tracking in our newsroom. I want to start out with the first confirmed 5-year-old, or really a child death under 5 years old, from the flu. North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services says there were 42 more deaths across the state compared to a week ago, including a child under 5 years of age. Now, so far this season, 181 deaths have been confirmed. Of those, 141 were people 65 years of age or older. 25 were between 50 and 64 years old. 10 were between 25 and 49 years old. 4 were between 5 and 17 years old, and 1 is, again, under 5 years old. Now, last season, 544 people died from the flu, the highest number since 2009. Now, we are also following an arrest of a man in Lenoir County. He's now facing drug charges. At around 11:20 p.m. yesterday evening, police were called to a suspicious vehicle in the area of Plaza Boulevard. Police say they seized cocaine and drug paraphernalia from the driver, who was identified as Adam Spence, who also had an unrelated order for his arrest. A 38-year-old was charged with felony possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia. Spence was taken to the Lenoir County Jail without bond because he was on pretrial release. And now for your weather forecast. Again, this is what we are keeping an eye on over the next several days. This weekend is still looking messy, even though model runs have continued to suggest a little bit more warmth in eastern North Carolina, enough again to potentially turn what was going to be snowflakes into, again, more of a freezing rain event for eastern North Carolina. That is not encouraging. Now, we're anticipating everything is going to start on Saturday with some light snow flurries early on in the day. And we've got another restart of the moisture coming in on Sunday morning, switching from snowfall to sleet to eventually freezing rain and raindrops as we head through your Sunday afternoon. By Sunday evening, the tail end of the system should be pulling its way through eastern North Carolina, likely exiting the Outer Banks as we head towards really 9 to 10 p.m. at night. And at that point, air temperatures are going to be down in the 20s. We're anticipating, again, more of a sleet and freezing rain event coming in on Sunday. But it's still way too early. Well, not way too early, but it is still too early for accumulation estimates in terms of snowfall and ice. But ice remains the biggest threat that we are tracking. So that gives you kind of a breakdown of what we are looking at. We're still, again, about 4 days out, and we have certainly seen some trends with the forecast pushing, again, more warm air into the east over the past 24 hours than what we saw yesterday. That, again, limits our exposure to potential snow flurries. Now, coming up for tomorrow, we'll have a better idea of exactly what we are looking at and what you need to know to help plan out your weekend. So over the next few days, we're anticipating a few stray showers around with increasing cloud cover. On Friday, the cloud cover increases and we see a little bit more rain come down. During that time period, Friday evening into Friday night, temperatures will start to drop. And then we get into the weekend with high temperatures likely staying around or slightly below freezing for both days, both Saturday as well as Sunday. And it's that aspect of the forecast that is very important, because that is going to take rain and turn it into freezing rain, creating again a greater potential for a winter storm. This is not looking like a fun sort of, again, get out your sled and do some snow angels type of event, at least not at this point. It was looking a little bit more like that yesterday, but again, latest model runs continue to hint towards essentially a two low pressure system solution. Right now, this is a look at those systems moving across eastern North Carolina. We there are in what is considered the cold sector of that frontal boundary. You're seeing that low sitting just to the south of Cape Fear. That low pressure system on the south side of it, warm air. On the north side is where we find the cold air. Now, as that system moves through, so long as it moves off to really our south, we are only going to see a reinforcement of cold air as it moves through. So as we head from Friday into Saturday, air temperatures are going to be falling. Latest model runs again point towards rain, sleet, and freezing rain as the system rolls through. Could we see some snowflakes? Yeah, we could, but we're not looking at the same sort of snow potential we were again yesterday. At this point, it looks like a freezing rain type of event because air temperatures high on Sunday, 34 degrees. That means your ground temperatures after spending Saturday night into Sunday morning down in the low 20s aren't going to have the opportunity to warm up beyond 34 degrees. Likely going to be staying between around 30 to 34 degrees through your Sunday afternoon. So as rain falls, once those ground temperatures get below 32 degrees, everything that falls, whether it's a piece of sleet, some snow, or even a raindrop, that is going to accumulate and potentially freeze on contact, especially with regards to those rain showers. So that's the biggest concern, is the Sunday evening to Sunday night as that system exits, as air temperatures fall. How much ice accumulations will we see as this system pulls out into the Atlantic? Now, Monday, we could again still wake up to a few spot showers out there. And again, with air temperatures down in the mid-20s overnight Sunday night into Monday morning, that opens the door again for more freezing rain. Right now, Monday is not a first alert weather day, but it could become one if we see those rain showers extend a little bit further into the start of Monday. But Monday, the important thing to note is that highs only getting into the mid-30s. 34 degrees on Monday, 35 on Tuesday. Similar to what we're going to see on Sunday, we're not going to get that far above freezing to create any sort of significant melt for anything that does accumulate over the weekend. So on Monday, we'll wake up to some slick spots, some ice out across eastern North Carolina. Anything that does melt is expected to refreeze Monday evening into Monday night, as air temperatures are going to drop down to potentially some of their lowest levels we have seen so far this winter, down at 11 degrees Monday night into Tuesday morning. A little bit more warm shows up for the following morning, Wednesday morning, coming in at 15 degrees, but still frigid air. And I hate to be the spoil sport here, but Wednesday is going to be our warmest day of the week next week. Thursday and Friday are going to be back down either in the mid-30s or possibly the upper 20s. It is going to be very cold coming up for the following Thursday and Friday of next week, but we're not seeing any additional moisture move into eastern North Carolina to create a secondary snow or sleet or even ice threat that we're going to be faced with this coming weekend. So hopefully, again, that answers some questions. Right now, I am trying to tell people what you should prepare for versus trying to give everybody a specific scenario of what they're going to see at their house. So for now, anticipate rough travel conditions on roads starting on Sunday, but really reaching the worst early Monday morning. Also anticipate the possibility for some power outages. If we do see heavy ice accumulations, then we are going to be seeing some power lines come down, either because tree branches break off and fall on those power lines, or the power lines gather up too much rain, too much ice, and then they start to sag and they come down. Ice can be incredibly heavy, and when you accumulate, generally the rule of thumb is about a ½ inch of ice. Widespread power outages become more and more likely. So with all of the moisture that's going to be rolling by eastern North Carolina, how cold we're anticipating air temperatures to stay, that again could lead to a significant accumulation of ice, possibly up to that ½ inch mark. Maybe some areas could even see beyond that. So anticipate, again, losing power, not being able to really drive around all that much, at least safely. And that should give you an idea of, okay, if this is the worst, how do I prepare for that? Make sure you have some sort of food that you either don't have to heat up or that you can heat up without using any sort of electricity that may not be available when you need it. No, propane stoves are always a good option so long as you use them outside. Don't use a propane stove inside. It will release carbon monoxide, and you could again suffer from carbon monoxide poisoning and potentially even die, creating a worse situation than just being stuck at home without power. But that's all we have time for today's 2 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. Again, we expect to get more model data coming up here into the Weather Center as we head through the next 2 hours. So we will see again if models continue to show that rain-snow line drifting a little bit further northward, creating more of a freezing rain potential for us. We could see the flip side of that happen, or kind of the flip happen, and we see that rain-snow line move south, which would again open up the possibility for more snowflakes in eastern North Carolina. But what I really want to hammer home is that nothing is set in stone quite just yet, other than, I would argue, kind of the frigid temperatures. That much again is looking unshakable, at least at this point in the game. We'll see how it all plays out, but right now, again, plan on more of an icy weekend than a snowy weekend, which, again, I hate saying, but right now that's what it's looking like. Anyways, we will have more news and weather coming up at 3 o'clock, right at the top of the hour, right here on the First Alert Desk. Until then, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. Bring your questions. Of course, we will also be going over a Charlie Loves Science segment coming up at 2:30. Just about forgot this. And we're going to be talking about the difficulties of getting snow into eastern North Carolina. Why it's such a struggle for us to see snow here in the east versus other areas off to the west, or even in Virginia, again, seeing usually a better opportunity for some snowfall across really the Delmarva Peninsula. So that's something we're going to be going over in full detail coming up at 2:30 in our next segment of Charlie Loves Science. Until then, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday.